Across the Line, for Elizabeth McCallum and John Fraser. You learn patience from white pine, everything the wind wanted to say confined to a few gestures. When the wind insists, all the branches point one way. You learn anarchy from grass, in its forest of columns, all more or less the same height. Distinguishing individual stems in the green and gold distance is wonderful training for the sight. You learn protection from granite, a patron of the art of ancient delicate lichen. You walk carefully, and when the white-throated sparrow sings, "Dear sweet Canada, Canada, Canada," you don't talk. Seeing water beyond water, you learn loss. You might never go there, and even here there is more than you have time to love in your brief life. Look how deep, how clear. Baby's Cottage. The first 3 lines of this poem are the title of a painting by Paul Gauguin. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Don't ask. The mountains across the harbor were a chain of offshore islands before their long, slow crash into British Columbia. The ground we walk on, hard-packed clay and gravel, was carried down the mountains by glaciers and rivers now vanished. The hospice around the corner once housed family court. Before that, it was Baby's Cottage, an orphanage. Someone sits by a lamp in the fog-shrouded lounge. Above the fog, we are told, the sun is shining. Bushed. Half in love is more than I expected, deserved really, given my dark destination. How many more beats, my heart? Do you know how much I love you? Here's something decent people can enjoy. Curtains of cold rain brush the rocky slopes. Hurtin' music, the body's sad counter to all that clever talk, those explanations falling unheard as snow through yellow leaves. Who needs to know how much a mountain weighs? Sometimes the feel, the heaviness of flesh is more knowledge than you can bear. You haul it like a suitcase, mind elsewhere, so you don't spend your life saying goodbye, goodbye, blood hum and aspen tremor, singing the simple, hopeless love of being here. You're going, and you're coming back as rain, as waterfall, as rock, as mountain flower, wholly surrendered to the laws of downwardness after a life contending, but not yet. You're still pummeled by the chemistry of desire, by the will's manic sheepdog, chivying your attention towards the beauty of the world, as if to prove you're more than a witness. You're implicated in these goings-on, but mustn't worry. Repeat after me. Bow falls, bow falls, bow falls, bow falls, bow falls. Near river water, blood almost remembers long travels after and before this body, being drawn through other lives and distilled out into clouds who claim to have forgotten us and remain distant, even when we walk among them in the rainforest and breathe their droplets in and see them dew our clothes. Griefs so strong they would outlive a lifetime, know only the extinction of the cells of their prison, freeze them into unknowing. We all want to be historyless, if that's not how we say it to ourselves. Nothing we say can touch the forest ponds shining, wet edges, mare's tails, water lilies, water hyacinths, building energy, black, oozy shore. If one time you lie where you have fallen, half dreaming your strength will drain away and down to feed the world, you find the opposite. You're like the giant who wrestled Hercules. He drooped like an invalid held in the air, but struck down to earth, his mother, he came back stronger. You inhale the smell of ground, the growing grass, the molds, the moss, invisible creatures, spores, all living forms, keeping their selves, unfathomable richness. You almost sense under the pond's reflection your other nature, nature under all. Galactic dynamics. So long as inertia's great flywheel holds all in place, why complain about the weather? Let it teach us to vary, repeat ourselves, defy prediction. At least we're here. Cheer, calls the red-winged blackbird. That call and one song are all it needs. A better example might be the selfless moon who climbs and sinks over the night-charmed earth, horizons separating, entering each other. Selves, bodies, wisdoms working together, wet with complexity, weak and strong forces constellated in us. What do you say? Never stop is all we know. One log grinds our bones, another licks our pleasure until it swells and flowers into the future. Love what you have. Minnows. So unlikely. So many feet above the lake, in ponds filled with nothing but rain, minnows are springing half a finger length out of the water. Little Gothic windows flashing and sinking back into rings of ripples. How did they get here? How did any of us? A biologist friend explains they must have climbed the tiny streams whose dry, black beds run inches deep in spring and fall. Or birds may have dropped them. Poetic beginnings, romantic but scientific. Until she said they'd be there, I never saw them. What else lives in here? A lifetime couldn't count them all. Yet once there wasn't a single living thing on earth. Chemicals, complex mixes, lightning, and something began remaking itself, stubborn, creeping like happiness across the landscape. The secret of what is important. The work of love's a good kind of order to scare yourself into. Any excuse can pull you in the ditch and leach your bones until the clouds lose patience and race on. Clouds favor people without your fancy problems, just city people who pay their kids' fare with a joke. Now don't go shooting any more people on the bus. I gave you that gun for a purpose. She loves you, goes the old song, and I know that's true sometimes. Sometimes I feel so tired, the fight to keep on the surface of the earth is barely worth it. One day I'll just let go, in maybe 100 years, if no one's around who minds too much, and life is pain all day, and the world and I don't care for each other at all.